Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sahabat rahasia Islam dimanapun Anda berada, senang sekali rasanya bisa berjumpa dan menyapa kembali di channel ini. Semoga Anda semua dalam keadaan sehat semuanya ya. Sahabat rahasia, pada kesempatan kali ini saya akan mereaksi sebuah video yang sangat menarik, yang mana pria dari asal negara Inggris yang pada waktu itu saat ada di Qatar sedang menonton pagelaran Piala Dunia. Pria Inggris tersebut mengomentari bahwasanya media-media Barat menjelek-jelekkan Islam dan menjelekkan nama negara Qatar. Padahal dia menilai bahwa di Qatar sendiri mempunyai mayoritas agama Islam yang sangat mencintai kaum yang satu dengan agama yang lain. Lalu seperti apakah reaksi dan kata-kata yang disampaikan oleh pria Inggris tersebut? Mari simak video ini selengkapnya.
I remember reading a story about a guy who walked 7 miles to get a beer. Now, I don't even know whether Qatar is 7 miles wide. Where they got that story from, I will never know. Because to walk 7 miles in that heat in Doha, you would probably die. And allegedly this guy walked 7 miles to find somewhere to have a beer. And unbelievable. For me, that's just total BS, and I don't believe it. And I think again it was all part of this constructed narrative to tarnish the reputation of Qatar before the World Cup had even started. So yeah, unbelievable. And it just goes to show how hypocritical and biased the Western media can be, because all the Western media, they were out there. They were staying in 5-star hotels. They were flown out there business class, Qatar Airways. They were getting a free holiday out of it and getting paid nicely. So to then sit there on TV and make the accusations and statements that they made, for me, was completely hypocritical. And I'm not a political person, and I try not to get involved in these types of things, but this is the first time in my life I've seen firsthand how the media can manipulate something to fit their narrative. Okay? So again, I think it was unfair criticism, and the media had gone out of their way really to find people that had perhaps had a bad experience, because I didn't see any of that. Qatari people who I actually found to be very friendly. So I was very lucky that I had two or three occasions where I was able to sit down and talk with local Qataris. And the first one was on the first day, actually, I was walking around Souk Waqif, and I got chatting to a Qatari gentleman. He was probably in his early 60s, and he asked me if I'd eaten. And at that point I hadn't, so he invited me for dinner in a local restaurant. We went to the restaurant, we sat down, we had dinner, we had really interesting conversation. We were talking about Qatar and the UK and lots of different things. I then wanted to pay for the meal. However, the waiter said that they couldn't accept card payments, so I asked where the nearest ATM was, and the Qatari guy, he paid for the meal. He didn't know me, he didn't know anything about me other than the 15-minute conversation we'd had. Paid for my meal, he shook my hand, and he wished me all the best, and off he went, and I never saw him again. And so again, when you look at it logistically, the World Cup was perfect. You didn't have to travel 4 or 5 hours across the country. You didn't have to travel to a different country or to a different state. All the stadiums were in one city. So for me, that was absolutely fantastic. It was so easy to travel between the games, to and from the games. So again, why this wasn't reported, I don't know. Probably because it was one of the positive factors about the World Cup. And of course, the media don't want to talk about anything positive to do with Qatar.
Alhamdulillah, sahabat rahasia Islam dimanapun Anda berada, itulah video reaction kali ini yang bisa saya bagikan. Pernyataan resmi pria asal Inggris yang menyoroti pagelaran Piala Dunia yang ada di Qatar, bahwasanya Qatar adalah negara yang luar biasa. Maka untuk itu dia berpesan kepada media-media Barat jangan menjelekkan negara Qatar. Next, dan tunggu video terbaru dari kami. Bagi sahabat muslim yang baru menemukan channel ini, jangan lupa dukungannya dengan cara like dan subscribe-nya. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.